Hi, here's a cool manga for you. You're not subscribed to the channel yet, I see, so go ahead. I'm gonna start blabbering. A guy named Koji was once again trying to ask out a girl named Anzaki, whom he had been in love with for a long time. He claimed he loved her. She stood so close in front of him that he was embarrassed. The girl thought that she couldn't go out with him because they had never even talked to each other, even though they were in the same class, not knowing what they would do if they agreed to such a proposal. Anzaki wondered if he had fallen in love with her at first sight. He didn't know what to answer, shy of the girl. He suggested that she go home together, spend weekends together in case they became a couple. The girl thought she was clever because she argued that if a person has a nice appearance, it does not mean that his character must be good. She thought he had decided to ask her out just because she was pretty, although he didn't know her at all, because he was approaching her for the first time. But she didn't know anything about him either. In her opinion, she was never interested in him. He understood. She didn't want to go on a date with someone she knew nothing about. She didn't really judge people by their looks. She realized that if he ran away now, she wouldn't be able to find out what he was really like. She immediately changed her mind, and now she offered to take him out for tea and get to know each other better. Koji was telling Anzaki about his favorite movie. She hadn't seen it, and he couldn't understand why she hadn't seen such a popular movie. Anzaki thought he was trying to find a topic to talk about. In the guy's opinion, they were already talking. The problem was different. The boy wanted to tell a little about himself. He demurred and apologized to her for his every action. You could tell he was insecure. Anzaki didn't know how she should respond to the boy's stories, or stories about his favorite movies, not understanding what he wanted her to say. She tries to say something as immediately Koji interrupts her. Anzaki didn't understand who gave him the right to talk about her life. In Koji's opinion, the girl was missing a lot in her life. The girl realized that this way they will not build a conversation and asked to change the topic of conversation. She didn't want to hear him brag about his knowledge anymore. Koji didn't know what to talk about. For starters, he wanted to ask her various questions. Anzaki advised him to pay more attention to the person he was talking to during the conversation. He was interested in the manga Anzaki was reading, how she spent her free time, her favorite foods, and her favorite animals. Nothing special. And once again, Koji realized he was getting carried away. But this time, Anzaki reacted positively. Anzaki informed him that the third volume of the manga, Please Go Home, Akatsu-san, was coming out soon. Koji interrupted the girl again, showing that he liked that manga too. They had been talking about a topic that was interesting to both of them. Now it was the girl's turn to ask him questions. Koji's friends greeted him with questioning. They wanted to know if the guy had succeeded in getting Anzaki to go out with him. He explained to them that he tried to pay the bill, but she yelled at him again. They didn't believe him. Anzaki went out to see what was going on with the guys. They realized that the situation was scary and decided to run away. They also thought that Anzaki blew the guy off and didn't agree to a date, thinking Koji was a loser. They couldn't stop laughing at him. After that, Anzaki asked the guys who had the courage to ask her out right here and now. No one was willing. Then she explained to the guys that it's not a good idea to make fun of other people's actions if they can't do anything. Koji considered himself a loser, believing that he didn't know how to socialize with people, and that he didn't excel in school or sports, or even have friends. He thought his classmates were right. Anzaki approached him and asked him not to act like a wimp. She explained to Koji that if he continued to act like that, he would remain a loser. She advised him not to let others insult him. Anzaki usually, if she noticed a person like a guy who was insecure, she always stayed away from such people. In her opinion, it could be bad for her reputation, so she advised him to be confident and not to listen to anyone. The guy didn't react to her words. She thought he was hopeless. Taking him under her arm, she decided that it would give him some confidence. Anzaki continued to add confidence to the guy and added that she didn't care what those guys thought. Koji thought that was how the various rumors came about. The guys in turn realized that Anzaki didn't blow Koji off. Koji couldn't believe that he was walking next to a girl, so he started crying. Koji explained to the girl that usually no one pays attention to him. That's why he was crying. He was already 16, and it was the first time he was walking with a girl like that. In Anzaki's opinion, it was selfish. He just wanted to be noticed by girls. He didn't want attention because Anzaki had explained to him that it would only get him in trouble. She thought the guy should have more time with girls. Koji cried, screaming that he would die alone and never have a girlfriend. He thought he was unattractive. He didn't know how to behave around girls or how to make conversation. Anzaki thought it was unlikely that there would be a girl who would want to date someone like him. She wondered how much he wanted to find a girl, and did it matter who it was? After that, she wondered what would happen if she became his girlfriend. She hadn't been in a relationship with a guy before. She assured Koji that if she did, she would love him even if he was fat and bald. Anzaki wanted him to make her fall in love with him. She wanted to test it. Anzaki believed that there were still plenty of women in the world, and one day he would meet one who would fall in love with him. And she added that if it didn't work out, it wouldn't be a good idea to despair. While our couple was walking, they caught the shoulder of some big man. He wanted to know how they were going to pay for the mangled shoulder. He wanted the couple to pay for him to go to the doctor. Koji was afraid of the man, for he was many times his size. Anzaki realized that the man had hurt them, so they didn't owe him anything, and asked the man to back off. Koji, meanwhile, remembered the words of Anzaki, who advised him to never give up and to be more confident. He wanted to call the police or run away, but both options didn't appeal to Anzaki. The girl decided to handle the situation herself and struck the man right in the jaw. The man had heard of the girl named Anzaki before. He had heard that she was strong, but to be that strong, he didn't think so. Anzaki didn't understand why the man was talking nonsense right in front of her. Koji understood that he was supposed to protect his woman, not the other way around. Anzaki understood that the guy hadn't done anything before. She didn't understand how he was going to fight that man, assuming Koji wanted to talk him to death. And she took him down with one punch. Anzaki thought the guy was just trying to show off for the girl. She thought it would have been much cooler if he had been able to protect his girlfriend and stay unharmed, so in his case, running away wasn't the worst option. She explained to Koji that he looked lame. Even though it was ridiculous, she was kind of glad about it. After all, it was the first time someone had tried to defend a girl. The guy tried to apologize, and she just thanked him for it. While talking to Anzaki, Koji was staring at her bust, so she asked him not to. Koji pretended he didn't know what Anzaki was talking about. The girl explained to him that all girls notice it and offered to test it on him. She told him to stop fooling around because she'd seen him do it. Koji kept saying it didn't happen. He didn't understand why it was so noticeable. After all, he was trying to hide it. Koji looked at her big eyes, and there was no limit to his joy. The girl didn't understand what the big deal was, claiming it was just chunks of fat. He thought she didn't understand anything. Koji immediately realized that all the girls he had interacted with before had seen that as he looked at their bust. He became as embarrassed as possible. Anzaki explained to him that her bust was only a hindrance in her life. The bell rang and Anzaki left for class. But before she left, she asked Koji to keep the manga he had lent her earlier. The guy once again looked at her there and apologized afterwards. She realized that there was nothing wrong with it. After all, he didn't do it on purpose. After such sarcasm, they laughed. But Anzaki didn't like the guy's smile, so she asked him to remove it, threatening to slap him. Koji decided not to write a long New Year's greeting to Anzaki, so he sent only a picture and received nothing in response, and thought she didn't like it, or she just stopped communicating with him. She stopped responding to his messages. It was Christmas Eve. On his break, he pulled out his phone and saw a message from Anzaki. The guy was overjoyed. The girl complained that her school was forcing her to wear revealing clothing for the holiday. She thought it was illegal, so she decided to send him selfies. In turn, Koji thought that the girl had mistaken his contact for one of her friends. Anzaki continued to complain. Now she was freezing. Shitaki sent him selfies, and the answer asked for selfies from him. The guy realized what was going on. After seeing the selfies, the guy was shocked. It turns out Anzaki really had the wrong number and asked him to delete her message. The guy explained to her that he had already seen the photo, so she wanted to come to him in person and wipe his memory. On Valentine's Day, Anzaki and Osanai met. Classes were long over and the guy was still at school. She assumed he was waiting for her, hoping she'd give him a birthday chocolate. She figured it out. The guy pretended he didn't count on it. The girl warned him that she didn't have any chocolate for him. The boy thought for a moment and explained that if the girl wanted to give him chocolate, she would prefer to do it in a private place. The girl, in turn, did not understand why he was waiting for her here, because no one went to this part of the school. Such gifts make each other only couples in love, and they were still friends. But she handed him a new manga. And the guy didn't even have a look of joy on his face. After that, she handed him a bar of chocolate. It was her apology for hitting him last time. She couldn't vouch for the taste, and she wouldn't take complaints either. Not a bad girl. The guy realized that Anzaki loved chocolate, and thought it was unlikely that she had just given it to him, and it was handmade. He assumed that she originally wanted to give the chocolate to him. The boy thanked Anzaki. There was no limit to his joy. She revealed that she still had a lot of chocolate that the girls had given her. She thought it would be too much for her alone. The girl had a dream that she and Koji were living together. Koji wasn't feeling well because he was sick, but the boss wanted to see the boy at work. He wanted to stop by the hospital just in case and then go straight to work. But Anzaki asked the guy to stay home for another day. He tried to prove to her that he was feeling much better. The guy was already late for work. The chief called the guy and explained that he wanted to see Koji at work and didn't care about the hospital. The chief explained to the guy that they were busy at work. Anzaki picked up the phone, and now the chief was explaining to her that Koji's condition was fine. Anzaki wouldn't let her lover come to work in any way. She was angry, so the chief listened to her grievances. Anzaki threatened the chief with the collapse of his company through such behavior and liability through sick employees. At the end, she told him that bosses should take care of their employees' health and hung up. The guy realized that she had done everything right and repeated her words. The girl wanted to show that she was worried about him. She woke up abruptly from such a dream. That day she didn't go to school, pretending to be sick. She didn't know how she could talk to Osanai after that. She had just had an erotic dream. The next day, Anzaki asked the guy what that smell was next to him. He didn't realize what the smell was and thought it was him smelling it. She sniffed it, but he explained that he was brushing his teeth and taking a bath today. A guy named Serki walked next to him. He always washes his hands after toileting and wipes them with a handkerchief, changes his clothes if he sweats, and washes his hair every day and takes care of his hair. Too clean. The guy thought Seiki was cool because he went to beauty parlors and had a girlfriend. Anzaki thought there weren't enough students at their school who could take care of themselves. The guy assured her that many people say that the smell of human sweat is pleasant to them. He apologized to her and told her he was going to take a bath. Anzaki warned him that if he wanted to go out with her, he had to look nice, at least be clean. She made a gesture he didn't understand, and the guy didn't know what it was. The girl was just kidding. She just made a gesture to get his attention. The guy behind the wall who overheard them talking decided he should take a bath too. Our guy didn't understand what Anzaki wanted him to do. The next day, Anzaki asked the guys to give her the money. Koji didn't know what was going on. Our heroine threatened the guys. And the guys didn't know what was going on. She wanted to take the money from those guys. Koji didn't expect her to do that. Two schoolboys from behind warned the girl about the danger behind her. Anzaki kicked the Takiki guy right off her leg. She told them again what she came for. The boy didn't understand why she beat up the guy and demanded money from him, thinking the girl was a demon. He thought she was trying to take money from those schoolboys. Anzaki smiled at the boys and thanked them for saving her, warning her of the danger. Now our hero realized that Anzaki had just returned the wallet that those guys had taken. He thought it was nice, but it was. Our hero named Koji was working as a lifeguard at the beach. He saw Anzaki, who he hadn't seen in a month and a half since summer vacation. He also saw some classmates he didn't recognize the first time. Anzaki came with a classmate for a swim, and some guys started hitting on her. Anzaki, like a true friend, explained to the guys that her friend didn't wear a bathing suit to seduce guys. They thought she wanted to go out with them since she wore such a revealing swimsuit. He grabbed her arm and ordered her to go with him. Our hero wanted to save Anzaki and her friend and came closer and closer to them. The guy was acting like a maniac. Anzaki didn't like it. She asked him to stop, but he didn't care. Together, they chased the guys away. Anzaki thanked Koji for saving her from them. She wondered about his part-time job here. But the guy wasn't interested in her and wouldn't answer her questions. He complimented her, thinking she looked good in that swimsuit. The guy warned the girl that he had to go, and she didn't hesitate to invite him to hang out here next time. The guy fainted after she said that. While Anzaki stepped away, Osanai and her friend were doing other things. The guy was taking a mating test with Anzaki, and her friend told him that he could be with her. Anzaki saw this and came over to see what the guys were doing. Her friend explained to her that in this test you have to put your initials and the initials of the person you want to date, and then you see if you are compatible. She suggested she try it, but she quickly refused because she wasn't interested. She was offended by them and decided to go for a walk alone. The next morning, Osanai greeted Anzaki, but she didn't react, deciding to go buy lunch at the store. The guy understood that the girl was offended. Anzaki realized that it wasn't normal to do such things just like that. She wondered whose initials Osanai had written on the test. Afterward, it occurred to her that she was trying to run away even though there was no reason for it. She decided to go back. After she approached Osanai, he explained to her that he took the test and wrote in random initials. This answer pleased the girl. She immediately began to glow. Osanai thought he had reassured the girl, but she only slapped him in response. The guy realized that he didn't understand girls at all. Osanai and Anzaki watched as one guy proposed to a girl and she accepted. Anzaki realized that the couple wouldn't be able to get married until after high school. Moreover, their parents might be against the marriage, and these young people don't have the means to support themselves. The couple hardly thought about it. Anzaki thought the couple was too immature to make such a decision. Osanai thought Anzaki was right and her words were valid. Anzaki was resentful of all men, for according to her, they never think ahead. Osanai explained to Anzaki that the young man proposed to his girlfriend because he wanted to show how much he liked her. And it doesn't matter when they get married. He'll always love her no matter what. He wouldn't have just thrown around those words if he didn't love her. Osanai thought he understood the guy. According to his words, he wanted to marry Anzaki. Naturally, from such words, the girl was shocked with surprise. Osanai laughed because it was the second time he accidentally confessed his love to Anzaki in such a way. The girl, on the other hand, thought that this boy was acting like a child. Our heroes decided to go on a quest in a mobile game, but it was only Osanai's dream. There, their images looked quite different from life. For the guy, this quest was one of the difficult ones in his life. For the girl, on the other hand, it was all very easy. The guy was screaming that it was all complicated and he didn't want to continue it. Anzaki was asking the guy to pull himself together. After all, she was already to the goal. Just a little more, and she would have gotten out of the Rondocleria cave. After all, the most important thing was not to give up. Osanai realized that he was dreaming about games because he was spending too much time playing games. It was a strange dream, but Osanai liked it. All of a sudden, Osanai noticed Anzaki, who was playing a game on her phone and shouting out words similar to the game Osanai was playing. He turned to Anzaki and asked her to be quieter, because if any of the teachers noticed her, they would confiscate her phone. Anzaki explained her situation by saying that she decided to try playing this game, so she created a character similar to Osanai. According to her, she rarely plays this character. Osanai asked Anzaki to add each other as friends, and the girl agreed to the guy's suggestion. Later, Anzaki found out that Osanai had made a character in the game that looked like Anzaki and dressed that character in a swimsuit. Naturally, the girl did not approve of such an act from Osanai. In confidence, one boy was told by a friend of his that a guy from a very famous musical group likes to play the game, Monster Hunters. So he is often online in a group dedicated to this game. By the word of mouth, he is also a member. His classmates wanted to join this group too. According to this boy, there are many other good guys in this group. He wanted to send Anzaki an invitation to join the group. Osanai was jealous of the girl and let her classmate explain that she didn't need it. Anzaki turned away and said she didn't need it. This guy tried to prove and explain that she was losing her chance to meet cool guys. Oh yeah, I won't forget and check if you're subscribed to the channel. Subscribe soon, unless you love manga as much as I do. Thank you for joining me in this fascinating retelling of the first part of this manga. I hope you enjoyed diving into this unique world and learning more about the characters and their stories. Don't forget that manga is a huge world and each of us can find something different in it. If you liked this retelling, don't forget to put a like and subscribe to my channel. Put a bell so you don't miss the next video. Bye.